Welcome to Scrum Down. This is your one-stop shop for all matters rugby. I'm Larry Asego, joined by Jotham Makanga, and a coach who needs no introduction whatsoever. I will always be referring him to coach, even if he doesn't coach right now. This is Mike Tanko Tieno. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Larry.
And of course, last week we were discussing matters Elgon Cup, and today we'd like to focus about Kenya Lionesses and the achievement that they had in the Elgon Cup. Now, they've been crowned as champion of the Elgon Cup, but what exactly was the focus of that tournament for them?
Like you remember in April we had the CAR Women's Sevens competition that we hosted in Machakos. Yeah, and actually when you get to the finals of that tournament, the top two teams for this year qualified for the IRB series qualifying competition.
Yes.
That is going to be held in Hong Kong in September 12th, to be precise, all right? I think that week of September 12th. So by virtue of us getting to the final of the CAR Sevens competition this year, we have actually qualified to go and try out for the qualifying tournament of the IRB series.
In Hong Kong.
Women's leg IRB series in Hong Kong.
Okay, this is a very tough assignment. Yeah. And just to do a quick recap of all the action that went down in the Elgon Cup, as we look forward to the qualifiers in Hong Kong, this is the action we have for you from the Elgon Cup.
The Elgon Cup is an annual fixture between Kenya and Uganda, played over 2 legs in Kampala and Nairobi in the month of June.
The first leg in Kampala.
This year, the fixture was contested in 3 categories: the usual seniors match, the juniors under-19, and the ladies contest.
The fullback Otieno gets stopped and the captain Doreen Remor picks the ball back, and Kenya.
This is the only competition match for the 2 women's side, as women's rugby in East Africa is not developed and has taken a while to be accepted. The Kenya Lionesses looked hungry for the title as they traveled to Uganda for the first leg match in Kampala. That hunger paid off as they beat the host 33-15 in the first leg. And so in the return leg in Nairobi, the Lady Cranes meant business from the whistle. But against the run of play, Rachel Adhiambo gave Kenya Lionesses the first try.
20 meters, pops the ball somehow to Millicent Opala, and Millicent Opala does what she's expected to do, scores down.
Uganda's Aisha Nakitio responded almost immediately as the team settled in the match.
Can they get a try here?
Then the Lady Cranes imploded. First, Fila Orlando restored Kenya's lead with the second try.
Second try.
Doreen Remor took the Kenya Lionesses lead to 15-5.
Doreen Remor picks the ball back, and Kenya scored their second try in as many minutes.
Janet Award converted the try to give the host a 17-5 lead at the break. Irene Otieno's converted try after the break extended Kenya's lead to 24-5.
Not need to use them.
And it's going to be another
weak tackle
try.
coming in there, but Emanuela Aroma will be guilty of letting Irene Otieno.
Uganda fought back with Beatrice team landing for Uganda, cutting the deficit to 24-10.
Janet Akello,
Janet Akello then showed why there is a lot of talent in Kenya with a super solo run that ended in the Uganda try box.
It's going to be another
well
try.
to keep out of the game so far, but the sooner that she gets the ball and realize that the space up front, she just shows
Kenya would score another 10 points, first from a penalty, then at the death, a converted try that was the final nail in Uganda Lady Crane.
Never get to see that. Try good.
Try.
This must be the try of the game.
The final score, 39-10 win for the Lionesses, a 72-10 aggregate win over the 2 legs. This is the first Elgon Cup win for the Lionesses since 2012.
160!
So that is the Kenya Lionesses, and of course the questions are going to be raised, Tank, with issues of opposition. I mean, do we think that we had good enough opposition against Uganda?
Not really, because in Hong Kong in September, we are going to face very, very tough opposition, including South Africa themselves, who actually beat us in the CAR Sevens final, because South Africa is also not a core team in the women's series.
So they're also fighting for a chance to...
They're also coming to vie for one of the 4 slots. You see, and really all the other teams that we are going to compete against in Hong Kong are of that caliber. So it's going to be nothing. I mean, you can't compare. You can't
It's not
compare
going to be a walk in the park.
Uganda
You
too.
cannot compare Uganda with what we are going to face in Hong Kong. It's a more serious challenge than we have.
Perhaps, Coach, in very simple language, perhaps paint the big picture for us. What do we stand to gain if we actually do make it to Hong Kong and we actually are in the top 4?
Qualifying for women to qualify for the IRB series will be like the effect that has happened to our men. I mean, look at where we are in the men's sevens. And if you can get our women also, because take it, I mean, look, the IRB caters for more or less 90% of the expenses. In fact, I would even say 100%. Because they cater for the air tickets, they cater for the full board accommodation, they cater for internal transport.
Yes.
So really, that leaves your challenges in terms of money to a very limiting.
Take care of
they take care of everything, and that would assure our women of participation every year in a tournament of that level.
Yes.
So our job will be just to focus on conditioning them and training
Conditioning them and now setting up structures to support that kind of venture.
Okay.
And that's why I see this as a golden opportunity for our women to take, and you know, because it's not going to be easy to get to this stage all the time. So
and of course, I mean, now it's not easy to get to that stage, but it means for us to be able to be top contenders all the time, we need quality opposition. And the Elgon Cup, what we saw, I mean, when the Kenya Lionesses went down to Kampala, it was a 34-15 victory.
33-15 victory.
33-15 victory,
Home
and then
here,
down here it was
39-10.
39-10. Basically, they ran away with it with like a 72-25 aggregate, which means that maybe we don't have enough quality opposition. Which other teams do you think we should, for example, invite in the Elgon Cup?
Well, no, the Elgon Cup is important. It's important because, of course, having a strong regional side.
Yes.
It's cheaper and easier to be able
both sides.
to really play. So the Elgon Cup for me is a tournament that should stay, and the region should be strengthened. In fact, we are talking of now roping in Tanzania.
We are going to Rugby Legends, and we feature a gentleman who started his rugby career at Mwamba RFC and has never left. He's a very big lad. He played with his brother a couple of times. That is Richard Nyakwaka, a.k.a. Quicks. Jotham, you know Quicks. You don't know Quicks?
I've never played with him, obviously.
You've never played with Quicks. I mean, Tank, what can you say about, Richard Nyakwaka? I mean, he played at Mwamba. Right now he's spreading the gospel of rugby across the counties.
He was actually a national team player.
Yes.
I remember when I was appointed coach in 2007, he was still in the squad, so he was still part of my squad. Yeah, but really, I think this is a gentleman who has got some drive.
Yes.
That really we have to nurture and we have to come and recognize, because whatever they are doing out there is good.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think we need that to be embraced and maybe controlled. Yeah, so that we can be able to really bring out the potential that can come out of it.
Somebody who is very passionate about the sport. This is Richard Nyakwaka.
Richard Nyakwaka, aka Quicks. His journey began when he was only 14 years old at Kisumu Boys High School.
Started playing my rugby career when I was 14 years of age in Kisumu Boys High School in 1991. It was around the same time that Kisumu RFC was also being formed. So started playing for the club also, basically learning the game.
Against all odds at Form 2, he was already in the second team at Kisumu RFC.
I think by Form 2, I started playing for Kisumu RFC, the second team already. So then I would then continue with that until after I finished school in 94. Then continued playing for Kisumu RFC now as a club for 2 more seasons. Then I moved to from Kisumu to Nairobi to go to school.
Coming to Nairobi, he joined Mwamba RFC in 1997. While at Mwamba, he got a chance to play in the Kenya national under-23 team and later climbed the ladder into the senior national 15 side.
I then joined Mwamba in January 97. Played for Mwamba for very many years. Then I started playing for Kenya under 23 at the same time, and eventually moved up the ranks. I went to the senior team, 15s. I wasn't a very keen sevens player. Played on 1 or 2 occasions.
In 2001, Quicks headed down to South Africa to play semi-professional rugby. This gave him a chance to learn about coaching and developing the sport of rugby.
Then in the year 2001, I would then get an opportunity to travel to South Africa, where I played semi-professional rugby for Pietersburg Polokwane Rugby Club in the Northern Province, South Africa. And I was there for about 2 seasons, where apart from playing rugby, I was also involved in taking up several courses in rugby, coaching and development work, and got involved with several predominantly black primary schools and secondary schools in the region to introduce the game of rugby. Because back then South Africa just got its independence, and it was still viewed as a white man's sport. So a part of this group, a part of our role, apart from playing, was to go into the rural schools and introduce the game to the predominantly black schools. And that's when I first got to start interacting with the machinery development, as you might say, in a foreign country.
On his return, he continued playing for Mwamba, then later moved to Impala. But he eventually found himself returning to Mwamba, where he has been ever since.
I came back, continued playing at Mwamba. Then at some point, Mwamba kicked me out for reasons that we won't go into now. So I was playing for the national team, but I was clubless. Then Impala came for me because we had not sorted out my issues in Mwamba. So I was in Impala for 2 seasons. That was season 2004. I was in Impala for 2 seasons. After which we made peace with Mwamba, and they invited me back. So then I came back here and I continued playing here. On the national team, I last played for Kenya team in 2007. My last game. Mwamba, I keep on trying to retire, but once in a while I keep coming back. But the last time I came back, like I said, it was a disaster because he got banned. I quit the service because I was not a registered player per se. I didn't know that even pension rugby, you need to get registered anyway. So that's basically my rugby career, my playing career. I've been on this pitch from, I mean, this is a club that I've been very consistent in for all the years. So in total, I don't know, from 97 to now, that's close to 15, 17 years.
After retiring, he did not leave rugby entirely. He is involved with spreading the gospel of rugby at the county levels, introducing the sport in counties where rugby is not predominantly a big sport. The future is looking bright if the county development of rugby is supported in order to facilitate progression of players into the national team.
I want to remind you once again on Twitter @Scrum_Rugby. We'd love to hear all your comments. Also on Facebook, Scrum Down. Give us your views about the show and what you'd like to see. And of course, here, this is the place to bring you all matters rugby. Now, there was the launch of the National 7 series that is going to be kicking off soon. And Tank, I mean, you've coached 7s, you've coached 15s, and the National 7 series is always a very good platform for the players to qualify to play for the national team. Do you see anything that is happening different, for example, in the National 7 series this year? Do you expect any major upsets? How are the teams preparing? Just from an overview perspective.
Yeah, you know, Larry, the beauty is that we have now moved from the 16-team format to a 32-team format, where we have Division 1 and Division 2. And I tell you, even with that 32-team format, we still have problems in terms of
selecting the
teams to participate. We might have to move now to
64 format,
64-team format or whatever. Yeah. So in terms of popularity, our 7th circuit has really become popular because a lot of teams are also using it as a pathway to develop.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got teams like I know there's a team in Bungoma called Bungoma Sharks, where their main objective this season is to participate in the 7th circuit, see how they perform before they come now entering into the league.
So and that is how the likes of teams like Cabras came to be. Precisely. Western Bulls, they're actually formidable.
Yes. So for me, it's an exciting time when I see that kind of interest that has been generated right across, the regions and all that. It just shows you how popular rugby is,
Okay.
is becoming. In fact, the biggest challenge now is the human resource. And
Yeah,
to
we might not be able to contain
manage
everything.
and contain
Okay.
whatever is happening.
Okay, we're going to be kicking off the National 7 series very soon. In fact, it's kicking off over the weekend, and the first one is going to be the Kabeberi Sevens. But the launch was a fantastic launch, and of course, we'd like to thank all the support we received from the Kenya Rugby Union in ensuring that it becomes a reality.
It is the platform that has produced virtually all the stars that have done Kenya proud over the years. The National Sevens Rugby Circuit Tournament is a chain of 5 tournaments that start and end in Nairobi over a period of 6 weeks.
Representing Nairobi, I give you Kabeberi Sevens!
The Kabeberi Sevens, hosted by Mwamba RFC, will kick off the circuit in Nairobi on the 2nd and 3rd of August. From Nairobi, the teams head out to the western town of Kisumu for the Dala Sevens on the 9th and 10th of August for round 2 of the National Sevens Circuit. Driftwood Sevens is the next stop for the teams for the 3rd round on the weekend of August 23rd and 24th. This will also mark the halfway point in the chase for the national title. Prinsloo Sevens in Nakuru at the end of August and the Christie Sevens at the beginning of September in Nairobi will close down the national circuit to usher in the International Safaricom Sevens tournament.
We are going to tour the whole country, evangelizing the game of Sevens rugby. And the game of Sevens rugby represents the passion of the game of rugby, the character of the game of rugby, the integrity of the game of rugby, the respect that must always be part of the game of rugby, and the discipline that must be part of the game of rugby.
The tournament has moved twice from the KRFU grounds on Gong Road to the Nyayo National Stadium. KRU chairman Mwangi Muthe is the man behind the moves. Now Kasarani, with a capacity of 60,000, is poised to be the permanent home of the tournament as Kenya bids to host a leg of the IRB 7 circuit from the 2015 season.
He said to me, Bob, we have to move this thing. We're growing bigger than this stadium. We have to move to Kasarani Stadium. And I thought, there you go. No. But he persuaded that Kasarani was the next big thing because he had this vision, he had this dream. And this dream was that he would bring the IRB to Kenya.
With the launch, the Kenya Rugby Union chairman took advantage of the opportunity to drum up support for the development structures being put up by schools. These are the feeder programs that clubs and the National Union feed on to refine the top-class players in the National Sevens team.
Very soon, Kenya is going to be world champions of sevens, believe me or not. And, Mr. Sponsor, one of these days I will take you to the school's championships so that you can see what is being done by Kenya Secondary Schools Sports Association.
Part of the reason the Sevens team has performed in the recent past is the conditioning they go through. Mwangi says the union plans to have a high-performance centre in different counties in order to develop further the many rugby players at the grassroots. In the meantime, the next 7 weeks will be exciting for the rugby fans as the 15th season takes a break to usher in speed and power that characterises the Sevens game in Kenya.
A very colourful launch that was. The Kenya Sevens circuit is about to kick off. Jotham, who are you putting your money on this season? Because last season, KCB managed to run away with it. Jotham, any predictions?
Well, just to echo what Tank said, I think right now the way things are getting, with also the minor tournaments we've had in the build-up, we've had Machakos, and I think we had a few other tournaments, other regions. I think we're reaching that point where it's pretty hard to tell exactly who may come out on top. But I'd love to see KCB once again defend their title, but primarily I'd love to see another team take it. And then also just to add on what you say, the sevens, my main goal is just to see the sevens being used to really expand the game now to the general public.
Yeah.
So once we have the general public support coming in, you talked about finances, that's also a good revenue source. Once we have the public knowing about rugby, supporting Kenya rugby, bring them in through sevens, which is short, exciting, has all the flair, the running, and then slowly let them know what 15 is all about. And there we have our revenue, a source of revenue, and also the fan support.
So in terms of spreading rugby at the counties.
Yeah, like what I was saying, you see we have 47 counties.
Yes.
So we need really to structure it such that there's a calendar. We also need to sensitize the counties as to really why are we doing this?
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, if we're going to hold these tournaments and whatever profits we make don't trickle back
to the county and
to
developing
rugby
sport,
at the county level,
yeah,
then really there's nothing much we are doing. Yeah, because we want to see most of the profits that are being made going back to the teams in the counties.
Yes.
Actually, what we are even visualizing as a union at the end of the, whatever, in terms of a long-term plan, is that our nationwide league could become an inter-county league.
Okay.
Yes, so that now we just have counties playing, and that's how you qualify to come to the Premier League.
Okay. Well, that is all we have time for this week on Scrum Down. Next week when we come back, we're going to be focusing on the National 7 circuit. Kicking off, Mwamba RFC is going to be hosting the first one at Kabeberi. And of course, we'd like to say a very big thank you to all the other clubs who are going to be hosting these tournaments. We're talking about Nakuru RFC hosting Prince Louis Sevens. And then, of course, we've got the Mombasa Sevens down at the coast. Kisumu are going to be hosting the Dallas Sevens.
Second leg, actually.
Yes, Kenya Harlequins will be hosting the Christie Sevens. It takes a lot to organize a tournament, and all these teams have been doing it for years. So thank you very much.
It's a two-day tournament.
It's a
Saturday,
two-day
Sunday,
tournament.
big thing.
And of course, the organization that goes into it, I don't want to be involved in that. It's just too hectic. So
I just want to come and watch the games, that's all.
You just want to watch the games?
Watch the games.
No, we are going to be bringing you all the rugby action right here on Scrum Down. So before we leave, we'll be leaving you with the Scrum Down, not a trivia, not a fact. We're going to be asking you to share with us who you think is going to be clinching the first leg of the National 7 series. Hosted by Mwamba, it's the Kabeberi series. Who do you think is going to be taking it? Just share your thoughts. We are on Twitter at Scrum Rugby, on Facebook, Scrum Down. Just tell us who you think is going to be taking it, and then you're going to see if Jotham is right, that KCB might retain it. Well, that's all we have time for. We'll be catching up with you again at the National 7 series. Until next time, go and enjoy some rugby.